So we've taped down a super tight area in the studio to simulate a corner of a bedroom or a living room. And today we're gonna take the new Zhiyun MOLUS G60 and the X100, and we're gonna do two different YouTube studio talking head style shots, and we're gonna teach you how to light your own shots at home. We're gonna use this corner as our background. So thank you, Zhiyun, for sponsoring today's video and being a constant supporter of this channel. Before we get into building out this set for our little talking headshot, I wanna talk a little bit more about these lights that I have right here. So lighting has been one of the most important things when it comes to our YouTube channel. I'm gonna move these out of the way. We go out of our way to light all of our shots, whether it's with the home renovation, if we're filming outside, or even if we're filming at the hangar. It's really important to Chris and I that we have good lighting. Speaking of good lighting, I should probably... So when Zhiyun reached out and asked me if I wanted to check out their new MOLUS G60 and their X100 lights, I jumped at the chance, not only because they're super cute and small, but I thought they would be perfect for some of the scenarios we find ourselves in, whether we are traveling, we're doing interviews in hotel rooms when we're making our little series, but also for small YouTube studios. Let's take a closer look at these lights, and then later I'm gonna see if I can put an entire lighting kit in a camera bag with my camera kit. Let me introduce you to the world's cutest lights. This is the MOLUS G60. It's a 60-watt light. It's super tiny. Like, just look at this. It like literally fits in the palm of my hand. For the G60, there's actually two different packages. The first one is $199 US, and that comes with the light and a reflector. And then the top package comes in at $249 US, which comes with the light, this sweet little case, tiny stand, teeny tiny baby softbox, which is so cute, and the Bowens mount. Now, this Bowens mount is going to allow you to get the most out of this little tiny light, because what you put in front of this light is going to determine how soft the light is and how flattering the light is. This allows you to attach all sorts of different types of modifiers like larger soft boxes, and that will allow you to manipulate your light a little bit easier than just using something small like this. For a travel setup, this is kind of perfect. And this is the MOLUS X100. It comes with this little kind of reflector that you can attach. This actually looks like a kind of a large film camera. You've got all of the dials on the side here, whereas on the G60, they are all on the back. So this one is available in 3 different packages, starting at $249 US, so that's for the light. And the top option is $399 USD, which includes the teeny tiny baby softbox, the case, the Bowens mount, the light. Both of these lights are color temperature adjustable. Some lights on the market are just daylight balance, but these both give you the ability to adjust the color temperature. We've got 6500 Kelvin all the way down to 2700 Kelvins, which is really handy, especially if you want to match any lights that are existing in a space. There are 3 ways to power both of these lights. So obviously the DC bricks plugging into the wall like a normal kind of light setup. They can both be powered by a power bank. Just make sure that the wattage is compatible with the wattage of each of these lights. The X100 actually comes with an external battery, and that battery you can kind of attach to the light and have that be kind of a wireless option, which is really cool. They also take USB power delivery as well, so that battery for this can be powered to this with USB. What I'm really excited about here is this Bowens mount adapter for both of these lights. That makes both of these super versatile when it comes to filmmaking, mobile filmmaking, or setting up a small space studio. When I first saw these 2 lights, the first thing I thought of was like, these would be really good for like streaming or on a desk setup because they're so small. You can kind of mount that on a stand above your monitor. But then I started thinking, you know, these would be actually really good for scenarios where we're traveling, whether it's in the car, like a road trip, or in the helicopter, where we're going somewhere and shooting interview style clips. These are a lot easier to carry around than a full-size light. I'm pretty sure you could take 4 of these lights and take up the same amount of space as 1 full-size light. So let's go see if these actually are as impressive as they sound. We're gonna hop over to the other side of the studio, and we're gonna try to set up a small space, little YouTube filming set, and we're gonna show you how you can use these in your own home studio. So I have just measured out a small portion of our bedroom to get a realistic idea of how much space we'd actually have if we were to shoot a YouTube talking head style shot in either the corner of our living room or in, say, our bedroom. Measured that out, had about 4.5, 5 feet of usable space. So I've taped that out here on the ground, and we're gonna try to keep our entire talking head YouTube setup within this small space. And we're gonna light the shot using the new Zhiyun MOLUS G60 and the X100, and we're actually gonna do 2 lighting setups, one with the G60 for a more affordable price point, and then a second one using the X100 alongside the G60 and some more accessories for a little bit of a higher price point. And I will also include a blog post with the lighting scheme breakdown with the links to everything we've used in today's video. video. For the first setup, we're gonna go with the G60 with the dome diffuser on it. And because of its size and its weight, we're able to put it on a smaller light stand, which is great because a smaller light stand is gonna have a smaller footprint. And it's also going to pack away a lot smaller than a full-size light stand. As I mentioned before, a really great option if you are shooting YouTube videos in your house, in your bedroom, in your living room, in the corner of your office, and you don't have a whole lot of space. These lights pack a really great punch for the price tag. Oftentimes in our videos, we talk about kind of shooting flat against a wall, which is a look that I really like, and we do that a lot in our videos, but shooting into a corner can make your shot look more dynamic. And if you have a small space, a corner might be more ideal for you. So that's what we're gonna do now. We don't have a lot of width, but we have a bit of length. So we're gonna use that to our advantage. I got my tripod literally touching the line. So if you have a bed or a couch there, it's probably gonna be the same. The light that we have on now is not the light we're gonna be using. I just wanted to get this framed up. We're gonna use the G60 as our key light. I'm able to put this right next to the tripod, which is really handy. It has a really small footprint, so it's super easy to work with. Turn off this light. We're gonna turn this light on. So we have the light set up here. So this light is obviously gonna be a little bit more harsh because of the size of the modifier. We talked about that earlier with that bones mount that we can add on the G60 and the X100. That's gonna give us the ability to use any modifier that has a bones mount. For this first setup, I wanted to show you guys more affordable options. So we're just using that little diffusion dome here. So let's just get this set up. So let's bring it down a little tiny bit. We're seeing a really harsh shadow here. We can take a $20, $15 reflector and we can pop this down underneath. If we can rig it up, lay it on a bed or on a dresser or on another tripod or light stand, you can see that that light now bounces right into that reflector and fills in that shadow, which is more of a flattering look. So this is gonna be closer to kind of a clamshell light. Looking in this shot here, the background doesn't look so good. We got kind of a lot of weird shadows. So what I'm gonna do is add a light. So you could build out a studio with a bunch of different types of lights. It doesn't have to be all giant lights. Zhiyun sent us this 5-ray M40, which is a little tiny light panel. This is also color temperature adjustable and dimmable. For $100, we have a little light that we can throw in the background. Just with that little light, we have something else going on down here, something a little more dynamic. I'm sitting pretty close to the background. I'm within that 5-foot distance that I have taped down. I can touch the background here with my hands really close. But because we're shooting with a fast prime lens, I'm shooting at f2.2, which is kind of strange, but we're getting that kind of separation, a slight amount of blur in the background. How wide your shot is gonna be is totally gonna depend on how much space you have. Let's bring that reflector up here. So if you don't have the option to have another light, say like the 5-ray M40 in the background, and you only have the budget to get the MOLUS G60 with that diffusion dome, then pick up a super cheap reflector. It's gonna give you that secondary light source. So if you don't have a budget for a reflector and you have some tin foil in your drawer, you can take that tin foil and glue that to a piece of foam core, and then you have a reflector. And then you can always put a halogen light in a light, like a normal light bulb, in a lamp, and you can put that in the background, and that could be a practical style light to make a more dynamic background. If that's tungsten balance, you can actually change the color temperature of the G60 to match, and then white balance to that. This is surprisingly flattering for how small that light source is. So this is a pretty powerful setup. We got the small light stand with the G60 on top with that diffusion dome. That's a larger dome we have going on there. We have it right behind the camera shooting down, and then we're using that reflector to reflect the light back up into that shadow part, giving us a nice clamshell style lighting, super flattering. And then we got that little extra light down here, the 5-ray M40. Again, you can use a lamp, a halogen light, anything that you have around that's not gonna flicker on camera. That's the G60. Now we're going to switch the setup to the X100. We're actually gonna use the G60 as a secondary light, and we're actually gonna bring in 2 of those. So we're gonna reuse the same light. We're gonna use the same modifier here. We're gonna get that light up as high as it can go, and that's just gonna give us some general illumination on this shelf here. The next light I'm going to bring in is another G60, and this time I've got the small softbox on it. And you'll see I have this grid on this light here, and that's gonna focus the light even more than just having the small softbox on it. So I'm gonna stick that right next to me, and I'm gonna actually use that as a background light. And we're gonna make sure that that is at the same color temperature. We haven't put our key light in, which is our main light. So this light here is kind of illuminating my face a little bit. I actually might want to just turn that away from me. But this one is spilling on here, so I might actually move that more behind me. Let's bring in our key light. So this is the X100 here, And then we've got the Zhiyun Parabolic Softbox 60D on top. I'm really a big fan of this softbox. Nice and small so you can get it nice and close for a nice flattering look. I just drop that ISO down. So it's kind of blasty, so we're gonna turn it down a little bit. As you can see now that we have this parabolic softbox on the X100, it goes from like kind of a small point light source to a nice soft diffuse light source. So you can see we have more illumination in the scene. The light on my face is a lot more even. I don't really even need a reflector here. If I wanted to put a reflector in, it would kind of look like this. Still very flattering, that's clamshell lighting, but I don't really feel like we need it. We can have more of a contrasty look. Now, if you wanted to have a more dramatic lighting scheme, we could always move this light to the side a little bit more. So now it's a more dramatic look, so I can kind of turn towards that light. We can have that kind of making that shadow. I don't love that for my face, might be okay for you. So we have that nice small light stand, the same light stand we were using from the beginning. Now we have the X100 using the Bowens mount on top of that light stand, and we're using the Zhiyun Parabolic Softbox on that to soften the light. We're using the G60 back on that light stand from the first shot over here to generally illuminate the area here. We've got another G60 down here with that small softbox and a grid on it, and that's just kind of adding some light to the background here. And then we have that 5-ray M40 down in the corner, just adding a little bit of a splash of light. You don't need a whole lot of space to have a really cool setup, and the whole Zhiyun MOLUS system is super compact, super small, and it's really easy to get a nice, good result for an affordable price in a small space. So if you decide to pick up these lights, no matter if you get the G60 or the X100, I highly recommend getting that Bowens mount adapter. That is going to make these lights so much more versatile for you. So it doesn't really matter what kind of modifier you're using, light modifier, whether it be an umbrella, shoot-through umbrella, a nice parabolic softbox, a small mini softbox. The closer that light is to your subject, the better it's going to look, especially if that light is coming through a nice softbox like this. Now is the final test to see if we can fit some of these lights in a camera bag with a camera kit, which is like kind of how we would be traveling with this. We've got the pneumatic Peter McKinnon 35-liter bag. This is a bag that we're usually traveling with for our bigger projects. We got the Sony a7S III in here with the 24mm lens and a 50mm lens, so we're gonna see what we can fit. So first of all, we're gonna start with our little tiny Peaches G60. These can fit perfectly. These are like the size of lenses. The X100, we can squeeze that in. This is the battery that comes with the X100 that we can also power the G60s with. So that's something I'd probably want to take as a backup just in case. So we could probably make sure, oh yeah, we got lots of room. So we're gonna need the Bowens mount. We've got that tiny softbox with the grid. Got the little legs. These are the legs that kind of fit on the gimbals. Basically a teeny tiny mini light stand. We've got this other baby light stand. Sony mic, we could stick in this little tiny light stand. For modifiers, I'd probably go with the diffusion dome, which we use for our setup. That will clearly fit if we had a divider. And then this little reflector just in case we needed to focus some light or do a little backlight. So like there's lots of space. And then you'd have the softbox. Put that in the front of the bag here, and then you have all your cables for these lights could fit in the front of this bag. So safe to say, that is pretty neat. I've never had lights, a whole lighting kit that fits inside a camera bag before.
You basically have a whole studio in there.
This is an entire studio. This plus a tripod and light stands in your trunk in the back of your car is still a lot smaller than carrying a giant case with just one light in it. I have to say, after shooting with these today, packing this camera bag, I'm really impressed with the Zhiyun lights. Both the G60 and the X100 I really like, and this is my first time using the 5-ray M40. Having this mobile studio is gonna be kind of a game changer for some of our upcoming projects. So thank you, Zhiyun, for sponsoring today's video. If you wanna check out these lights, I've left the links in the description box below. And if you wanna see more YouTube setup videos, I have an entire playlist with a bunch of builds that we've done. Link up here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Chris is finally here behind the camera. Say hello. He derping. He just got home from work late night. Are you recording?
Yes.
Okay. The 50mm prime is bigger than this light.